Good evening, Facebook. Hope everybody's well. Thursday night. What time is it? It is 9:19 p.m. on a Thursday night. Friday's almost here for you hardworking folks. And TGIF, I know y'all can't wait to get off tomorrow and crack open a cold beer and enjoy the weekend. I can't say I blame you. I got an interview finally on Monday, so y'all wish me luck and pray for me that I get a job on Monday. I want to walk out of there with a job. I need it so bad. We're struggling so bad. Our rent's paid, but man, it's rough out here. I wanted to touch on something tonight that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Trying to keep it as short as I can. I don't want to bore you guys, but um, as you know, as I've mentioned in the past, I have been to prison in Georgia. I did almost 2 years. I did 21 and a half months, give or take a couple days, which doesn't sound like that long, out here, but it's hella long, man. 21 and a half months being locked up is unbelievably long. It feels like a decade. Uh, Whenever I got to prison, not to Jackson Diagnostic where they do all your diagnostics, classify you, all that, but where they send you after that is your permanent camp, is what they call it. Whether you're going to another penitentiary or a prison camp or a county ran prison camp, um, when you get there, man, you don't really know anybody. You kind of sit back, mind to yourself for a while, and I did. And the first day I was in there, somebody came up to me and asked me if I smoked. Obviously not cigarettes. Yes, I smoke cigarettes. I've been in county for 7.5 months. Haven't smoked a cigarette. Haven't smoked any pot. Nothing. Stone cold sober. Just been eating my life away, man. I gained like 35 pounds in county. But when I got there, he asked me if I smoked weed, and I said, "Yeah, I do. Why are you asking?" It's a weird question to ask somebody that's locked up, obviously. And he pulled out a fat sack. So I was like, "Holy crap! This dude's literally got this in prison." And he said, "You want to buy some?" And I'm like, "Sure, how much?" And he tells me, however, I had a bunch of honey buns left over that I had just bought the week before, probably 20 honey buns. So I bought some and I smoked, and it was the craziest thing in the world, smoking in prison. Never in a million years thought that would be me. Um, the drugs in prison, at least in the state of Georgia, is unbelievable, man. Like, when you hear people out here, if you've never been to prison before, not county, not probation detention center, but the chain gang, if you have been down the road in the state of Georgia, most states probably are about the same when it comes to the drugs and the phones in prison. Uh, it's crazy, man. When you hear people say there's more drugs in prison than there is on the streets, they're not lying to you. They're not exaggerating. They are dead serious. It's not so much as how much there is in there, it's how accessible it is in there. I mean, you got anything, any drug you can possibly think of, you can get in prison. You literally go to cell 1 to get this, cell 3 to get this, cell 5 to get this. You want a tattoo, you go here. You want to buy a cell phone, you go here. You go talk to this guy. I mean, sky's the limit. You can get anything you can buy pretty much out here, you can buy in prison. Except it's a lot more expensive. A smartphone, just a regular rinky-dink, $100 smartphone out on the streets will sell for anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 in prison. That doesn't include the charger. And of course, you got to buy a charger. How else are you going to charge your phone unless you build one like some of these guys do? But, we're not geniuses, so we need to buy a charger. A charger is another, $100, $200. So when you're in there and you're smoking weed, it's the craziest thing in the world to sit there knowing that you're doing that. So it's kind of addictive. You want more. So you start getting to know more people and start realizing how many drugs are really in here, man. I mean, the what they call meth in there, it's really bath salts, which is absolutely awful. If you can imagine 64 there's 64 dudes in a dorm, and I would say at least 80% of them are doing bath salts. And it's nuts. If you could just imagine people, inmates, murderers, kidnappers, drug dealers, armed robbers, everybody all together in this big fishbowl, all been up for like a week or two on drugs. Imagine how scary that would be, because everybody's paranoid, everybody's thinking everybody's after them. It's awful. It is a trip. It's a sight to see. Something I hope none of y'all ever have to see. Well, the more I got to know people, the more I realized how much stuff was really in there. So when I got there, where I was, it takes about a week and a half for you to get a work detail. And luckily I had I was charged with a felony shoplifting, which is absolutely stupid on my part. Being a dumb young kid, wasn't thinking how dumb it was. But anyways, I was in prison for shoplifting, but I had been on felony probation while I caught that charge, so that's why I went to prison, in case anybody was curious. So about a week and a half, 2 weeks, you get a detail. If you get lucky, you get to leave the prison for the day and go out somewhere else, mow grass, pick up trash, whatever. If you have medium to minimum security on your profile, then you can actually leave the prison and go, with the other inmates, go to a DOT shop, city shops, county shops. I personally drove a zero-turn lawnmower, worked with 4 or 5 other dudes. They were all cool as hell. We actually became really close. We were all real good friends. Like I said, out there mowing grass, doing landscaping, picking up trash, whatever the case may be. Well, when I was approached after I started my detail from a couple people asking me if I wanted to make some money and get some free pot out of it, I said, hell yeah, I'll do it. Not knowing what it entailed. But anyways, I'm not going to go into detail too much of how you physically get it into the prison, but if you guys are smart enough, you can figure it out. It's, obviously, that's how you get it in. But the people in the prison would have their people on the outside in the middle of the night. They would package up whatever they're bringing in, and they would go to whatever shop that the prison detail goes to during the day. And they would drop a bag off with all of it prepackaged, whether it's weed, whether it's meth, whether it's heroin, whether it's cigarettes. Sky's the limit. I agreed for cigarettes and weed. I never brought in anything else. I didn't fool with that stuff. I was not going to, open that can of worms. I had it going smooth for, God, man. I did 21 months, and about 14 of those months, I had it good. I had money on my books all the time for my family on the outside. I had unlimited supplies of weed and cigarettes, whatever else I wanted. So I was living the high life in prison pretty much. And don't get me wrong, prison ain't no daycare. There's violence going on everywhere. I watched a man die behind me because he got thrown over a balcony over some gang related stuff. I'm not going to get into that too much, but when stuff like that happens in front of you, when you see a man die, it's natural for you to freak the hell out. And you cannot even glance that way, because if you're watching and you draw attention to yourself, you're going to be next because they think you're going to snitch. So just be aware of that. If any of y'all ever go to prison and you see somebody die in front of you, try your best to keep it pushing, man. You didn't see nothing, you didn't hear nothing, you don't know what they're talking about. That's the best advice I can give you. But I had it going smooth for a while. Well, one morning, I had a bad feeling. We get to the DOT shop, and I, of course, ignore my gut feeling, and when those people drop it off in the middle of the night, they tell you where it's going to be before you leave the dorm for the day to go out there. So we get to the shop. The guard always goes in his little office and puts his boots on, ties them up, has a little breakfast, coffee. He lets us sit out in the DOT shop drinking coffee if we were lucky enough to bring some, or some DOT guy had some he shared with us, and smoked cigarettes if we had cigarettes, of course. And when the officer would go in his office, one of us would take turns running out to our drop spot and getting the drop, while the other ones were watching out for the guards. So one at a time, there was like 5 of us bringing shit in every day. So it was my turn, ran out there, grabbed it, and I was told it was in a certain bag, and it was a different bag that I grabbed, but it was in our spot, the same spot I've always used for 14 months, pretty much, maybe 15 months. So I was like, didn't think too much about it. It kind of worried me a little bit because these guys around me are bringing in some hard drugs, and I wasn't trying to bring in any hard drugs. So I was a little nervous about that. Well, the way they package it, you can fit a lot in a little piece, a little thing about this big. They wrap it with duct tape, and they jam it down in a pipe to make it real skinny, not duct tape, electrical tape. And it gets real skinny, and that's how you bring it in. Obviously inside of you. I won't go into any more detail. I don't want to get banned from YouTube, but that's how they do it. It's called suitcasing, if anybody knows. The guard was still eating while this other dumbass that was on my detail, he was a loose end, man. This dude was an idiot. He was not careful with anything. He was not sneaky. He was clumsy as hell. Like, don't know how he didn't get caught up until this point. We knew he would. We just didn't want him to bring everybody down with him. Well, I come back in from grabbing my drop, and it was in a black, like a convenience store black bag, and I had full of these bombs, probably about 40 of them, of cigarettes and pot is what it was supposed to be, to my knowledge. And I kept thinking, man, I hope that's not the wrong thing, I hope it's not, METH. I really hope that's not what it is, because if I get caught, I can get a lot more time. Not that I couldn't get more time doing what I was doing, but you know what I mean. The harder the drug, the more time you're going to get. So, I stick it down on my waistband, and we have jumpsuits. But they're not jumpsuits. They're two-piece, a shirt and pants. But we had a jacket. So I, just for the time being, I shoved half the bag down in the front of my pants and covered it up with my shirt and my jacket I had zipped up. Well, the way that mine was packaged, it did not smell one single bit. It was all smell proof, which it needed to be, because if the guards smelled it, obvious reasons, you know what's going to happen. So the dummy that went out next to grab his brought it back in. His people did not package it right, and it stunk to high heaven. It was so loud, I could smell him like 50 feet away in the shop. And I went and told him, dude, you got to get rid of that shit right now. You're going to get all of us hemmed up. Everybody's got stuff on them. Everybody's trying to hide their stuff in the shop for the day, because when you leave the shop, you don't come back to the shop till the end of the day. And at the end of your work day, you go back to the shop, drop off, the lawnmowers, whatever you're using, and then you go back to the prison. You get shook down. You got to get naked, squat and cough, all that great fun stuff. Metal detector, all that. And I went and told him, that's too loud, man. You got to get rid of it. You're going to bring all of us down. Well, about that time, the guard comes out of his office and immediately smells it. Dude just he ran in the bathroom and put his stuff up in the ceiling, but at that point, the guard already smelled it. It was too late. So, of course, he looks at me and he thinks it's me that smells. So he grabs me, and when he did, the whole bag fell out of the front of my pants, and the bombs went everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And the guard freaked out, put me in handcuffs. I was trying to reach down and grab him and throw him off in the woods out the door before he could grab him, and it didn't work in my favor at all. He put me in handcuffs. Of course, dude, they got me caught, gets away with it. They immediately load all of us up in the van, and they take me back. And the whole time I'm thinking about, God, I hope that was just what I thought it was and not what I was hoping it wasn't, and I grabbed the wrong damn drop. So we get back to the prison. I'm freaking out. They pull me into this room with a scale, and they start unpackaging all the tape, all the pot, all the cigarettes. Luckily, to my amazement, it was just what I thought, what it was supposed to be, thank God. Even the guard said, man, this is the most good smelling stuff I've ever smelled in my life. So I wasn't laughing, obviously they were. So they immediately go take me to the hole. And at this point, I had been locked up. I think it was my parole date was coming up, but I hadn't heard nothing yet. And I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, well, there goes my parole date. Now they're going to max me out and make me do my whole 24 months. But it's been 21 months at this time total. So it's like 3 more months, but my parole date was supposed to be right around then, and 3 more months is a long time when you're ready to go home. So I end up going to the hole. I'm in there for about 8 hours, sitting there wondering, what the hell have I done? Why did I do this to myself? My family's going to be devastated. I can't call anybody, like nothing. Well, 8 hours goes by. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, this little Asian dude with a badge on, never seen him before, not a prison badge, but a GBI badge, and takes me into this like oval office room, sits me at a table, and puts me in handcuffs. And this dude is such an asshole. He explains who he is. He says, I'm GBI. I work with the the State Bureau of Investigations for prisons. He pretty much investigates trafficking drugs and phones in prison. So I'm terrified. And not going to go into too much detail about who I was working with to bring this in. Yes, it was a gang. That's all I'm going to say about who it was. But that this dude wasn't stupid. He knew that one little white boy is not going to be bringing all this weight, which ended up being like, I think, a 1/4 pound of pot and like 10 packs of Bugler cigarettes, which don't start thinking that I'm bringing all this in at once, because I'm not. This is over a few day period. Like, take what you can in every day. You don't try to bring all that in at once, obviously, for obvious reasons. So he starts questioning me. He said, who are you bringing in for? I said, man, are you crazy as hell? You want me to tell you who I'm bringing in for? And he told me, if you just tell us who you're bringing in for, we'll let you out of the hole and we'll put you in a different dorm. I said, man, I've been here a long time and I know how the prison politics work. I know who's in which dorm and I know what happens to snitches. I said, you want me to tell on these people and then you're going to put me right back in the same yard with the same people I just snitched on. I said, nah, man, I'll take my time. Take me back to the hole. He said, I'm going to give you one last chance to tell me who you're bringing this in for. And if not, he said, I see your parole date is next month. He said, that's gone. He said, you're looking at 30 years in prison for bringing, for trafficking drugs into a prison. I'm freaking out. But I was like, man, I'm not telling on nobody. Fuck that. I'll take my time. Take me back to the hole. I ain't got nothing else to say to you. So he's pissed off. Obviously, he failed at what he was trying to do. Never heard from that guy again. They brought me a disciplinary report that said I was charged in, like, not free world charged, but charged with, what was it? Unauthorized drugs, whatever the hell that means. So I was in the hole for 7 days, and they randomly just came and got me and told me I was free to go back to a different dorm. So they take me back to a different dorm. I have nothing. They've put a restriction on my commissary account, my phone account. In the old dorm I was at, I could use anybody's cell phone whenever I wanted to. Give them a soup for 15 minutes on the phone, and I'd be able to talk to whoever I wanted. I was eating good, I was smoking good, whatever I wanted, it was there. This new dorm, I didn't know a soul. I was on commissary restriction, phone restriction, so I couldn't call anybody. Even if somebody wanted to put money on my books, they couldn't. It was blocked. They blocked everything. I slowly started starving, man. And in the state prison system in Georgia, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they only feed you lunch and dinner. I mean, breakfast and dinner. They do not feed you lunch. So if you don't make commissary, you're going to be hungry as shit, man. Your stomach's going to be touching your backbone, and it sucks, man. I was in there for, God, dude, another 2 weeks. No, it wasn't 2 weeks, because the captain of the prison came and told me that they were free world charging me and they were going to take me to the jail here soon down the road and book me into the jail on trafficking charges. I'm scared half to death. Go to bed that night, don't sleep a wink, waiting on them to come get me. And he also told me they were going to transfer me to a level 5 maximum security prison, which I do not want to go there, man. A lone little white boy that ain't affiliated with no gangs going to a level 5 is not where you want to be, man. I promise you. Take my word for it. So I'm freaking out. A couple days go by. They called me up there again, told me, same thing. We're about to ship you off. You're going to a level 5, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be charged. Well, your counselor handles all of your parole stuff, mental health stuff. They schedule your mental health appointments with doctors in the prison or whatever. They handle all that stuff pretty much. Well, I get a call from the guard that said I need to go talk to my counselor, so I figured this was it. I got to go talk to her, sign my life away, get shipped off to another prison. I go up there and talk to my counselor, and she told me to sign this paper, and I started reading it, and I realized this is release papers. I can't even explain the feeling that I had at that point. I thought they were making a mistake. And I'm like, are you sure this is what this is? She said, yeah, you want to go home, don't you? She said, you're getting released in 10 days. I said, ma'am, you don't understand. If I could hug you right now, I would. You don't understand everything that's going on with me right now. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I go back to the dorm, and I'm good, man. For 10 days I rode, and I'm waiting. I'm freaking out, waiting on them to come get me to transfer me and charge me with this new stuff. They never did. By the grace of God, I was able to ride for another 9 days, and when I was scheduled to go home the next day, obviously you're not going to sleep a wink. I was up all night, had my stuff packed in the cell, ready to go. At 6 a.m., they do shift change, and when the shift that's there with you overnight leaves to go home, they take the people that are getting released, and they walk up front with them. They walk them up front. Well, 6 o'clock comes around. I see the guard coming down the walk, comes in. I'm waiting on the other guard to come get me to tell me, let's go up front. You're getting released. Nothing. The guard leaves. I'm freaking out, man. They finally unlocked the door to the cell at like 5:45 in the morning for count. I wait for them to count, and I ran up to the tower, and I started banging on that door. I said, "Ma'am, I'm getting released today." And she said, "There's nothing here saying you're getting released. Leave me alone." And all the guards are assholes in this place, keep in mind. I said, "Ma'am, I'm not going nowhere until you call somebody up front, because I'm telling you I'm getting released today. I've been locked up almost 2 years. I want to go home. My family's going to be here in a few hours." She said, "If you don't step away from that door, I'm going to pepper spray you." I said, "Well, pepper spray me, because I'm not fucking moving." I said, "Please call up front. Give them my name. They're going to tell you I'm getting released." Finally, she called up there and she apologized to me. She said, "Yeah, go grab your stuff." I went and grabbed my stuff, went up front. They give you a haircut, dress you out. I hear it come over the radio that my mom and my sister were out front waiting on me, man. And I broke down. I started crying. On my way out of the prison, when I was walking with my stuff, right before you walk out the main gate, there's gardeners, inmates that are gardeners and landscapers working inside of the prison gates. And I'll never forget, it's what we call lifers, people that are doing life that have no chance of going home, life without parole, natural life. They're never going home. I'll never forget that man came to me and said, "You going home?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Don't ever come back, man." He said, "I'd give anything to be in your shoes." He asked me if I had kids, and I said, "Yeah, I got 2 little girls, ages so-and-so." And he said, "Man, just go home and hug them, man," because he said, "I got 4 girls, and I'll never be able to see them again. They don't even come visit me. I've been in here 15 years, and I got the rest of my life." And this man's like 65 years old. He ain't ever going home. And he opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And when I got out, I realized what I had to do. And that was 2017 when I got out, and I've never been back. I will never go back to prison for the rest of my life, man. And anybody that's watching this, that's curious about prison, or thinking you're cool to go to prison, or telling people you've been to prison, or out there wilding out, shooting people, stabbing people, dealing drugs, robbing people, whatever your case may be, however you're illegally making your money, just stop. It's not worth it, man. Just go get a job, take care of your family. I mean, I don't have much. You see, I live in a duplex. There's one person that lives next door to us that are attached. I don't have much, but everything I have is mine. I've worked my ass off for all this. And prison is the reason that I have all this, because, as crazy as that sounds, it's because I realized I was at rock bottom. It don't get no worse than that besides laying in a casket. So prison taught me what not to do in life. It taught me, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, this is where you're going to end up. And every time you go to prison, you're going to get more and more and more time every time. It's not worth it, man. It's no life to live. I've met people in prison that I look them up every so often to check on them and check to see how they're doing and see if they're back in prison. And sure enough, every last one of them's back in prison. They've been to prison 3 times since I've been out, 10 years or 8 years ago. That's crazy. Some people never learn, man, but I'm telling you, I learned my first time, and I will never be back. I went to county jail 25 times when I was younger, just being an idiot over stupid ass shit. So, but the prison trip, that's all it took. Scared me straight. So for anybody out there thinking prison's cool, or thinking that, you'd be a badass in prison, I promise you, in prison, there's always a badder motherfucker than you are, man. You don't want to do it. It's not where it's at. Be out here with your kids, man. Live a good life. Work your butt off. Retire and enjoy your life, man. Because I promise you, prison is the last place you want to be, man. I would have honestly rather been in a coffin to be where I was. But I've bored you guys long enough with my video. I just thought I'd share, man. I've been starting to share a little more about what's going on in my mind. And man, do I have some stories. Y'all comment on here. Let me know what you think. I'm trying to get this video to hit 1,000 views within the next 24 hours, I hope. I hope y'all watch this to the end. And if not, I understand. It's not your cup of tea. Maybe it was boring. I don't know. But the ones that watch it, man, I love you guys. Keep a good head on your shoulders. Stay out of jail. Stay out of trouble. Take care of your family. And I love you guys. And I'll post another video maybe tomorrow. Y'all have a good night and enjoy your Friday and enjoy your weekend.